Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and in today's video we're going to have a look at the latest on the breakdown of this cold spell we have had at the moment. It's not going to be a cold and snowy breakdown, but it's going to be a very icy breakdown tomorrow with the potential for freezing rain in many places and some really icy conditions. The ground temperatures at the moment are still well below freezing, and it's going to take many hours, maybe even a day or two in some areas for those ground temperatures to rise above freezing, which means when the air gets milder than freezing and we start to see rain falling out of the sky, which is highly likely tomorrow, it's going to be falling onto frozen surfaces, and we're just going to be seeing widespread sheets of ice developing. We've got an amber warning issued for this ice risk in northern England. That is where, of course, got the coldest conditions, or cold air hanging on at the most, really. And then, of course, we've got precipitation pushing into that. So that's why those areas in the north have got an amber warning, but there's a widespread yellow warning as well. So the risk is higher in northern England, but anywhere really could be seeing some really severely icy stretches. So do take care tomorrow. It is very difficult because you might look out the window and see no snow, see no white, and just see rain falling out of the sky, but the ground can still be extremely icy. So everyone please make sure you take care tomorrow. It's a very rare event we see this. Maybe every few years we see something like this, where we get a breakdown of a cold spell, we see this rain turning into ice at the surface. So we'll run through the latest from the live radar, look at the weather warnings for that amber warning tomorrow, and of course the UKV, look at the timings of the precipitation. And then we'll also have a look at the longer term, look at the GFS, GM, EastMWF, and the ensembles. Because of course, we're heading into the Christmas period now, so we're getting up to the time where everyone's going to be interested to see what's going to be happening over Christmas. Of course, will there be any snow? At the moment, is looking potential there's potential in the north, in the south. Not so much, simply because it looks like it's going to be a battleground situation where the dividing line between the mild air and the cold air is going to be positioned further northwards. So we'll have to see exactly what happens with that over the course of the next couple of weeks. So we'll have a look at those longer range models in the second half of the video. So do remember, if you enjoy my videos, make sure you like and subscribe. And remember to follow me on Twitter as well, the link's in the description. Now, to start on the live radar, I'm recording this around 5 PM, so a bit later than usual. And you can see we've got quite a few showers pushing in from the west, but most of them are now turning more to a wintry mix, if not towards rain. And simply because that air is starting to get slightly warmer. Now today, those temperatures widely were in the low to mid single digits, so yes, colder than average in most places today than we'd expect this time in December, but considering what we've had the last week or two, it is a little bit milder, and those slightly milder conditions have meant most of this precipitation is now falling sort of a wintry mix, some snow in places, some rain, some sleet. Wouldn't expect too much accumulations from these showers in northern England, Midlands into Yorkshire, but there could be some in places. Again, sometimes the precipitation types here are a little bit deceiving, because as we head into nightfall now, these could turn more back to snow. Still tonight, temperatures will drop to around freezing point. There's also some showers across Scotland as well, some snow pushing in there in from the west, but you can see it's all veering more from westerly, again showing the change in direction of the winds, meaning a milder air mass is slowly pushing in. That said, I'm recording this around 5 PM, so temperatures are starting to plummet in many areas. You can see slightly milder, of course, than most days. Most days have been, especially this time of the evening, the last few days we've been seeing this colours we're seeing across Europe over the UK, but it's because that milder air is pushing in. And of course, that milder air will be pushing into Europe as well, just a day later, of course, in the UK, with us being further westwards. So big milder push is coming in tomorrow, and you can see it's starting to influence us, but we're still widely going to be around the freezing point, if not lower, in many central and eastern areas. So still a very cold night tonight, and probably the last cold night widely for a number of days, or at least for the foreseeable future, the next sort of 5 days or so, with most areas seeing above freezing temperatures widely overnight during this coming week. Now, if you have a look at the weather warnings, we've got an ice warning issued for Scotland. Again, wintry showers pushing in, expires 8 AM tomorrow. If we do have a look, we've got a yellow ice and fog warning, freezing fog, and ice may lead to travel disruption. Again, high likelihood, lower end of the impact. Again, just in places it will be, but the risk is there. And then tomorrow, the breakdown, you can see everywhere is pretty much covered by a weather warning. The far south and west have got a rain warning, as there's actually going to be some really heavy rain, of course, the next few days, and some of these areas still have got a bit of snow cover, so that will melt rapidly. We could see some flooding issues. So we've got a rain warning from 6 p.m. tomorrow until 6 a.m. on Tuesday. Rain heavy and persistent at times, expected to bring some travel disruption. Again, 25 to 50 millimetres quite widely, maybe 50 to 80 millimetres in some higher areas, and maybe even 150 millimetres. For the area across parts of South Wales, this small region here, 35 to 50 millimetres. So in the Brecon Beacons area, 35 to 50 millimetres, may fall widely 70 to 90 over south-facing high ground. High likelihood, lower end of the impact matrix. We then got a widespread yellow warning, completely covering most of England here and Wales. A period of rain and snow mixed falling on frozen surfaces will lead to icy conditions, especially in the morning, I'd say here. Again, widespread frozen risks ahead of a band of rain, sleet and widespread frozen surfaces ahead of a band of rain, sleet and snow pushing northeastwards across the UK. Some areas can see 1 to 2 centimetres, maybe 3 to 5 centimetres, but again, it will be turning to rain and it could rapidly melt with the rain falling, but still freeze on the surfaces. So it's going to be a real mix tomorrow. Some areas probably just see rain and no ice. Other areas it could be absolutely treacherous. Again, high likelihood, lower end of the impact. Then we've got that ice warning across parts of Northern Isles of Scotland. And we've got a full snow and ice warning here from 7 a.m. till 9 p.m. tomorrow, because of course Scotland are going to be holding on to that snow, that cold air slightly more, and Northern England as well. So could see some snow there. And again, could see 1 to 3 centimetres, maybe 5 to 10 centimetres across upland area, and isolated 10 to 15 centimetres. But it will be turning milder. So high impact and starting to climb at the likelihood scale. So you could even see an amber warning issued here. But again, it is simply because it's transient, and the fact is milder air is pushing in. So any snow we see here will start to melt through Sunday evening into Monday to at least moderate to low-lying areas. So yes, could see 10 centimetres build up, but temporarily for sort of 6 hours or so when it does start to melt. So pretty much anywhere could see snow accumulations tomorrow, but for most areas it will accumulate, and as soon as it turns to rain, it will all start to melt. And then, of course, we've got the amber ice warning from 9 a.m. tomorrow until 8 p.m. tomorrow as well. I definitely do think the highest risk for this will be in that morning to lunchtime period, simply because by the time we get to the afternoon, those surface conditions in terms of the air temperatures will be turning milder, quite a bit milder, probably towards sort of 7, 8, 9, 10 degrees. So it will start to rapidly melt that ice towards the surface. But you can see a band of freezing rain and snow will move northeast across the UK on Sunday. Freezing rain is most likely to affect higher ground within the warning area. It may last for 3 to 4 hours in some places, leading to an ice build-up of 2 to 3 millimetres. Now, the difference here between the widespread ice warning is the potential for freezing rain. And freezing rain is basically where we've got a slither of milder air in the atmosphere which melts snow to rain, and then the surface temperatures are still cold, still below freezing, so it freezes back on touching the ground, but it doesn't have time to refreeze it in the air. So it's a very specific sort of situation, but can be very dangerous, because looking at the sky, it looks like rain is falling, but when it hits the surface, it instantly freezes, creating some very big dangers. And again, it is very localized, because you need the exact specific conditions of cold upper level temperatures, sort of milder above freezing mid-level temperatures, and then surface conditions need to be freezing as well. Again, it is a transient system, so we will not be seeing ice the whole time, as it says here, maybe for the first 3 or 4 hours before turning back to rain. And you can see here, freezing rain and snow will turn back to rain during the evening overnight as milder air arrives, leading to a rapid melting of ice, high impact, and climbing up the likelihood scale as well. Into Monday, we've got those yellow rain warnings, and those continue into Tuesday as well. And the rain could be quite heavy widely, tossing up in the south, especially with that milder air pushing in. So do go over to the UKV now and see what that precipitation and temperature is doing over the course of the next couple of weeks. Now you can see a few showers around over the course of this afternoon and the evening. They should slowly start to dissipate away. Where we have clear skies, could see another frost, and then we see the big rain band pushing in from the south and the west, pushing in, and could turn to snow initially on its leading edge or rain. Again, I wouldn't look at the precipitation type here too literally, simply because anything really falling out of the sky could start as a wintry sort of precipitation before turning back to rain after maybe 20 minutes, or in some areas, especially across northern England, 3 to 4 hours potentially with ice forming. You can see heavy snow across Scotland. That's why we've got a snow and ice warning there, because it's more likely to stay snow for a longer period of time. But through the evening, you say it turns more predominantly back to rain, and there's very little snow here till even over the higher ground of Scotland. So pretty much everywhere will be above freezing on Monday, even the higher ground of Scotland. So rapid snow melt, and of course you see all this heavy rain in the south could lead to those flooding issues, as we saw with the yellow rain warnings. And then as we head through the week, cold air will wrap in from the north, so you can see snow returning to northern Scotland, and you can see the track of the lows is further southwards, and that just sets up the pattern for the lead up to Christmas, where it's looking likely we're going to have a battleground situation with cold air, with a block reforming towards Greenland, trying to push in from the north, with the Atlantic pepping up a bit, trying to bring low pressure systems in, and the scenario we're looking at the moment is milder, wetter and windy in the far south. In the north, cold northerly winds, with a few snow showers, and then in the mid-ground between that, in the meeting point between that mild and colder air, the weather front, and that drier colder air, there will be snow around somewhere. Most of the models have it across northern England or Scotland at this stage. So unfortunately, if you're in the south and you're looking forward to a white Christmas, it could be there, but for areas in the north, we could have a real contrasting situation coming up. And you can see it's emphasising the upper air temperatures. You see that cold air starting to spread in, but the far south still extremely mild. And we'll see this even better on the GFS in a minute. Now, if you go to the max temperatures, you'll be able to see a big contrast over the course of the next few days. This afternoon, temperatures rising to around 4 or 5 degrees, so much milder than it's been recently, but nothing particularly mild really for this time of year, still below average. Overnight tonight, temperatures dropping widely below freezing. That's going to freeze those surfaces, which is why overnight into tomorrow, any of that precipitation falling out of the sky has potential to turn to initially as snow, but turn to ice. Through tomorrow, you see the surface conditions for many central and northern areas are not really going to rise much above freezing until sort of the mid to late afternoon. You can see across parts of the East Midlands, freezing there, but towards southwest England, 12, 13 degrees. So again, it will be very variable depending on the timings of the precipitation. A couple of days ago, we thought the precipitation was going to come in a lot earlier, maybe 9, 10 a.m. Here, it's showing more towards 3 or 4 p.m. But overnight, those temperatures are just going to continue rising. No drop in temperatures overnight. And you wake up on Monday afternoon, look at that. 12 or 13 degrees quite widely, even over the high ground of Scotland. Not dropping much below 4 or 5. As we head into Tuesday, cooler conditions are starting to return, maybe 8 or 9 degrees, so getting more towards average, but still milder than average. And then as we head into Wednesday, trending back more towards average with sort of 5 to 8 degrees and more towards freezing over Scotland. So a brief couple of days there of very mild conditions before trending back towards average into Wednesday, Thursday, and then towards the lead up to Christmas. Big battleground with much colder air trying to flood in from the north, but milder air trying to hang on in the south. So you see that now on the GFS. This is the latest GFS 12 o'clock run. It's pretty much just finished coming out, so if you update it, you can see how we've got southwesterly winds coming in this week, with low pressure pushing out to our west, and you can see a westerly flow. But look what happens in the lead up to Christmas. Higher pressure towards Greenland, a northerly wind coming in, but low is still trying to come in off the Atlantic. And the setup for next Friday, the -5 isotherm is flooding in from the north, the -10 isotherms even getting into Scotland. But look in the south, we're near the 5-degree isotherm, with a battle between that cold and mild air. Most ensemble members and most models have the mild air winning, at least for the southern half of the country, and pushing away the cold air to the north for a time there beyond Christmas. But again, different models have different scenarios with this, for right towards the end of the run, trying to, once again, to push that cold air in, and here actually being slightly more successful. So again, the GFS here is simply just showing a battleground between northerly and southerly winds. It's a very similar pattern that actually happened last year, where the models actually thought the the northerly winds were going to win for a good week or so, and we thought we were going to go into a cold and snowy Christmas before the southerly winds won at the last moment. Here, it looks like the southerly winds are pretty much going to win out for most of the country. But could we see the northerly winds win out at some point? Looking at these charts, yes, this GFS does not go widespread cold. It shows cold for Scotland for quite a period of time, then there will be snow over this Christmas period, maybe significant snow with this sort of pattern in Northern England and Scotland. Nothing else really for areas further south and sort of low-lying areas. But definitely with this sort of pattern, it really does open the door to another cold spell, or at least another cold snap, or at least a few days where you could see significant snow return once again. So we'll have to keep an eye on this. It's not your typical westerly pattern, even though generally the air direction is coming in from the west. It's not your typical pest from the west, Atlantic systems pushing in relentlessly with no opposition. This is a battleground situation with northerly winds trying to beat out southerly winds. We'll just have to see what happens over the course of the next few weeks. For the time being, nothing crazy cold, but perhaps towards the Christmas period, something colder in the north, and it could come south into sort of the 25th to 31st period, but we'll have to see. If we look at the GEM, see how that does compare. This has definitely probably been more of the northerly wind sort of spectrum over the course of the last few days. It's definitely been a colder run. You can see how we got southerly winds initially, but look at those northerly winds pushing in right towards Christmas Day, and they actually look like they win out there for a time. If we do run it back, you can see the -5 isotherm actually spreads all the way to the Midlands there, perhaps getting even into central southern England for a time through Christmas Day, and there could actually be quite significant snow towards northern areas for this. But right towards day 10, look at that, the -10 isotherm is flooding into Scotland, the 10-degree isotherm is climbing into the south. Look at the temperature deviation, huge clashes of air masses. 10 degrees below average across Scotland moving in, and 10 degrees above average moving into southern parts of England. So this is why it's so difficult, and any operational model or ensemble member here with subtle shifts in its positioning can be moved very quickly, and that's why I do think we're going to see huge swings in model outputs in terms of sort of their temperatures and their precipitation types over the course of the next few days. Because of course when we look at the ensemble members, we look at them on line graphs, so we only see their upper air temperatures, their 2-meter temperatures, which in this sort of pattern, this GEM run here would probably be showing sort of 10 degrees in the south, and you wouldn't be able to see on a line graph that actually freezing conditions are just to our north. And another way to have a look at this is actually put on the United Kingdom. Look at those 2-meter temperatures. Look at that, 1 degree in Liverpool in the northwest of England, 13 degrees, 13 degrees in London, a 10 to sort of 12 degree temperature difference in the space of about 100 miles, 150 miles. That is ridiculous. That is ridiculous. And this would cause really heavy snow, and look at the snow depth there. Look at northern England getting buried through the Christmas period there, through Boxing Day into the 27th. So again, we'll have to see what happens with that. If you look at the ECMWF, see how that does compare. Again, southwesterly winds winning at the moment. That low tries to clear to our east, and it does bring a northerly wind in, but the low pressure hangs on in the south, and we actually see southerly winds there for the 27th. But it's a very similar pattern, with that cold air just to our north, trying to flood in, but never quite doing it. So again, 3 models today, all on the cusp of very cold weather and very mild weather. And at the moment, it looks like mild will win, at least in the south, maybe further northwards at times as well, but the cold could hang on in the north as well. But we'll have to see exactly how it does develop. So if you now have a look at the ensemble members for what's happening over the course of the next few weeks, the latest GFS here, they haven't fully come out, only the next 11 days, but there's huge uncertainty here. You see, generally for London, actually quite mild coming up for the week leading up to Christmas, but again, it will be moderated by surfer conditions, so it will be mild at times, but it also will be cool at times as well, more towards average, but generally nothing cold. Very unsettled as well, but look at that, as we head towards the 25th, 26th, 27th, trending more towards average, if not below average. Bit of a split appearing here. You've got the control, operational, and a few other runs going very mild, southerly winds winning out, but look at that, quite a few, including many ensemble members actually trending the average below the 1981-2010 mean, and some real cold runs appearing here. So yeah, very interesting seeing that appearing today. And again, 2 meters temperatures trending much colder as well. You can see the huge temperature contrast, just showing you how big the transition in temperatures is going to be over the next day or two. And you can see the dew points as well climbing well above freezing, 10 degrees over the course of the next week, and then slowly trending more towards freezing towards Christmas period. Again, if we go to the upper air temperatures and actually compare it to Glasgow, you can see it's actually much colder towards the Christmas period, especially. Look at that over Christmas, -5 line looks like it's dominating. So definitely for Scotland and North England, cold, potentially white Christmas actually looks the more likely scenario here. Maybe that colder air coming more to the south post-Christmas. So we'll have to see. Again, if we look at the ECMWF Ensemble members, just compare it to the midnight run. Again, generally trending colder than average for Glasgow. And if we have a look at London as well, you can see it once again trending colder than average from the Christmas period, Christmas Day until New Year's. But leading up to Christmas, most of the Ensemble members here are pretty mild. And the operation run's one of the mildest runs there for Christmas. So again, as I said, you're going to see a lot of spread from the operation runs and the Ensemble members over the course of the next few days. So we'll just have to see how it does develop and how it does get deciphered over the course of the next few days, as I said. So anyway, make sure you stay safe out there with the ice and potential snow risk tomorrow. It's going to be quite treacherous in places, but it will be turning a lot milder after that. So hopefully things will become a little bit less hazardous than they have been recently. I hope people have enjoyed the cold spell. If you like cold weather, but if you do like milder weather, it's going to be good conditions coming up over the next few days, with temperatures potentially climbing to 12-13 degrees in a few spots, maybe through Monday and Tuesday. So anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you again for another video soon.